Well, students of class 10th, today we are going to start economics chapter 2, the role of service sector in Indian economy. In this chapter there are several topics. The first one is sectors of economic activities. There are three sectors of economic activities. The first one is primary, second one secondary, and third one tertiary. Primary sector, it means that in that sector activities undertaken by directly using natural resources. This is also called agriculture and related sector. For example, cultivation of cotton depends on natural factors like rainfall, sunshine, and climate. Dairy farming depends on the biological process of animals and availability of fodder. Minerals or ores depend on the presence of an ore in plateau, its quality and quantity. Secondary sector, it means that activities in which natural products are processed by manufacturing. It is also called industrial sector. For example, produce cotton textile by using cotton as raw material, sugar or gun by using sugarcane as raw material, making bricks by using earth for making building and houses. Thereafter, tertiary sectors in which activities that help in the development of primary and secondary sectors. This is also called service sector. For example, goods produced are to be transported to sold to wholesale market. Means of communication are needed for trade. Banking also helps in trade and production. These activities generate services like transport, storage, communication, banking, trade, etc. In recent times, new services based on information technology like internet, cafe, ATM booths, call centers, software companies, etc. have become important in tertiary sectors. Thereafter, the second point is that GDP. How we can calculate the GDP? With so many goods and services produced, economists suggest that value of goods and services should be used rather than actual numbers. Value of goods and services in the three sectors are calculated and then added up. Makes sense only services. The value of final goods already includes the value of all the intermediate goods that are used in making the final goods. The values of final goods and services produced in each sector during a particular year provides the total production of the sector of that year. Sum total of production in the three sectors gives what is called gross domestic product, that is known as GDP. It is the value of all final goods and services produced within a country during a particular year GDP shows how big the economy is. GDP is undertaken by central government ministry. Thereafter, historical changes in sectors. So, whatever the historical changes found in these sectors, so first one, primary sector, methods of farming changed and agriculture sector began to prosper. Many people picked up other activities, increasing number of traders and craftspersons. Then after that, buying and selling activities increased. There were also transporters and army men, but most people are employed and goods produced with natural products. Thereafter, secondary sector. New methods of manufacturing introduced. Factories came up and started expanding. Farmers too started working in factories. People began to use many more goods produced by factories at cheaper rates. Secondary sector gradually became the most important in total production and employment. Thereafter, tertiary sector. Service sector has become the most important in terms of total production. Most of the working people are employed in service sector. This is the general pattern observed in developed countries. Thereafter, rising importance of tertiary sectors. Reasons why it is being important. In any country, several services are required, which can be considered as basic services like hospitals, educational institutions, post and telegraph services, police stations, courts, village administration offices, municipal corporations, defense, transport, banks, and insurance, etc. Development of agriculture leads to the development of other services, which are transport, trade, storage, godowns, etc. The greater the development of primary and secondary sectors, more the demand for these services. After that, income level increased. Demand of more services. When the income level of the people increased, the demand level of the services is also increased, like eating out, tourism, shopping, private hospitals, private schools, and professional training institutes. New services added up since a decade, like information technology, communication, new banking system, etc. The use of these services are rising rapidly. Yes, the next topic is underemployment or disguised employment. When more people are working than is needed, this situation is called underemployment or disguised employment. It means that when the requirement of work, the requirements of people for a particular work is less and the number of people is much in the working position, that is known as underemployment. So this one we are going to study about this in both the sense, in rural areas and urban areas. In rural areas, all the family members work in the same field. This means that even if we remove a lot of people from agricultural sector, and provide them work somewhere else, the agricultural production will not be affected. And in urban areas, there are thousands of casual workers in the service sector who search for daily employment. Many of them don't find work every day. There are many others like rickshaw puller or cart pushers on the street selling something where they may spend the whole day but earn very little. These rickshaw pullers, perhaps there is no certainty in their employment and earnings. How to create more employment? What is the method of creating more employment? It will be clear here. Banks can provide a loan to construct wells to irrigate their lands. Dam construction will provide employment opportunities as well as irrigation facilities. Better rural roads and more transportation facilities to be provided to farmers to sell their crops. On the credit of local banks, inputs like seeds, fertilizers, agricultural equipments, and pump sets can be bought. Government can promote and locate industries in the semi-rural areas to generate employment. Mills like dal mills, cold storage, honey collection centers, processing of vegetables, etc., has also been flourished. More schools will lead to employment to teachers, builders, peons, and other staffs. For improving health situation, more doctors, nurses, health workers are needed to work in rural areas. Employment can be generated in tourism, regional craft industries, or new services like IT. Central government introduced MGNREGA Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. Under this act, those who are in need of work are guaranteed 100 days employment in a year by the government. If the government fails to provide employment, it will give him unemployment allowance to the people. On the basis of this, the sectors are divided. So we are going to discuss about the division of sectors. All the sectors are divided into two groups: organized sector and unorganized sectors. Organized sectors, the term of employment regular, follow rules and regulation of Factory Act, Minimum Wages Act, Gratuity Act, etc. Employees register themselves with the government. It has those who are under organized sector, they have to ensure the security of work for a fixed number of hours. If work more, paid overtime, get benefits like paid leaves, payment during holidays, provident fund, gratuity, etc., and get medical benefits, drinking water, safe working environment, etc. These are the facilities provided in organized sector. Thereafter, unorganized sector. Small scattered units outside the control of government. Rulers and rules and regulations are not followed in unorganized sectors. Jobs are low paid and often not regular. there is very less salary in our unorganized sectors, and the salary paying system is irregular. No provision for overtime, paid leaves, holidays, or leave due to sickness. Employment is not secure. They may be told to leave the job anytime. A lot of them are employed on their own doing small jobs. These are the losses. These are the characteristics of unorganized sectors. Thereafter, how to protect the how to protect the unorganized sectors. In rural areas, vulnerable people are landless agricultural laborers, small marginal farmers, sharecroppers, and other artisans, weaver, carpenters, and etc. It means that in the villages there are many peoples who are only depend on the employment. They are fully landless. Nearly 80% of rural households are marginal and small farmers and can be supported by adequate facility or timely delivery of needs, agricultural inputs, etc. In urban areas, comprise of workers in small scale industries, casual workers, trade and transport vendors, head load workers, garment makers, rag pickers, etc. need government's support for providing raw material and marketing of output. Thereafter, SC/ST. Majority workers from SC/ST and backward communities are unorganized sectors. Besides irregular and low paid work, they face social discrimination. Protection and support is needed to get economic and social development. Thereafter, and now the last topic of this chapter is sectors on the basis of ownership, public sector, private sector. There are two sectors on the basis of ownership. Public sector, government owns most of the assets and provides all the services like railways, post office, meant for social benefits. Government raises money through taxes and other ways to meet expenses on the services rendered by it. The government provide subsidies and bear part of the cost to support industries. Government must spend on provision of health and educational facilities. And in private sector, ownership of assets and delivery of services is in the hands of private individuals like Tata Iron and Steel Company, guided by motive to earn profit. To get services, we have to pay money, which is unable to provide several things needed by the people at reasonable rates. So, like this, the chapter is over. Thank you.